Hey, Shalom Akim. First and foremost, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rachach Kodash, the waters under the elders Apostle Millstone, the elders Great Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, the sincere servants of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, serving in truth and sincerity. Yes, from the brother Chayaba from G-Man's Plaintiff's Camp, come back with another lesson to his spirit. Yeah, go so getting straight right into it. Start off, it says Luke chapter 12 and 22. It says, and he said unto his disciples, therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what you shall eat, neither for the body, what you shall put on. The life is more than meat, and the body is more than raiment. Consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap, which neither it says, have storehouse nor barn, and the Most High feedeth them. How much more are you better than the fowls? It says, and which of you with taking thought can add stature, slack to his stature, 1 cubit? If ye then be not able to do that thing which is the least, why take ye thought for the rest? And ultimately, what we're supposed to, that's importance of putting our trust in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Of course, there are things that we can't control. Obviously, anything can happen. That's why the scriptures say, cast your burden upon the Lord. Cast your burden upon Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, as the scriptures say. Because again, it's so many things that we can't control. If, we had our minds meditate upon these things every single second, then obviously we'd be in the wrong spirit. Scriptures say how basically, the elect shall be without worry. Basically paraphrasing, those with wisdom will be without worry, because ultimately we're going to have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is going to take care of everything. And Yahushai is saying right here to take no thought. So keep on reading, of course, of these things that, of course, we can't control. Our daily bread, so on and so forth. The roof over our heads. Again, these are things, ultimately, that's in the hands of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, but ultimately we put our trust in Him. It says, if ye then be not able to do that thing which is least, why take ye thought for the rest? Yeah, we understand how things are about to get bad very, very soon. As scriptures say, be ye as pilgrims upon the earth. Esau's going to come down like a madman sparing none. Ultimately, the only thing we can do is put our trust in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Scriptures say the righteous runneth into, but ultimately the name of the Lord is a strong tower. To not butcher it, let's go ahead and get that. It says, so this is Psalm, or it's like Proverbs 18 and 10. It says, the name of the Lord Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. Exactly. So the name of the Lord Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. So ultimately, the elect will be protected by calling upon the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And with calling upon the name of the Lord, also we do His will. And the Lord gives us the wisdom, knowledge, understanding, ultimately, to know what to do. But ultimately, which is, again, it all goes back into trusting in Him, according to what He has said, according to His word. And with that, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai will make a way for us. Of course, being a part of the hopeful elect. It says Luke chapter 12 and 27. So it says, consider the lilies how they grow, they toil not, they spin not. Yet I say unto you, that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If then the Most High so clothe the grass, which is today in the field, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will He clothe ye, or clothe you, O ye of little faith? It says, and seek not ye what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of a doubtful mind. For all these things do the nations of the world seek after. For your Father knoweth that you have need of these things. Yeah, so Yahweh Bashim Yashai already knows that we have need of these things. The important thing is just, to keep our minds focused on doing the work. They're doing His will. And of course, Yahweh Bashim Yashai is going to provide the rest. You can tap into certain scriptures, what says in Sirach chapter 2, how, who, or basically paraphrasing, who has ever put their trust in the Lord and was confounded. Basic paraphrasing. Do not butcher that. Let's go ahead and get. So this is Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiasticus chapter 2 and 10. It says, look at the generations of old and see, did any ever trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in His fear and was forsaken? Or whom did He ever despise that called upon Him? Exactly. So those who put the trust in Yahweh Bashim Yashai, they won't be confounded. So that's why it's important to keep our faith in the Lord. Certain scriptures say so we use the scriptures as to quote it once more. Isaiah chapter 33 and 6, wisdom and knowledge should be the stability of that time. So reading this again, it says, Luke chapter 12 and 29, it says, and seek not what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of a doubtful mind. Yeah, scriptures say, basically, to not be doubtful. Scriptures also say how, the elect shall eat and my servant shall eat, my servant shall drink. Scriptures also say how, that's in Isaiah 65. Also, the scriptures say in 2 Ezra chapter 2, 27 on down, verse 27, I believe, going into the elect shall be married and have abundance. So again, whenever, and of course this is just an example, but whatever demon, of course, creeps into your mind, or of course our minds, evil thought, again, we use the scriptures to combat that, using the word of the Lord, what Yahweh Bashim Yashai, of course, has promised unto His elect, to cut those, of course, those evil spirits. As of course Satan took Yahushua up into the mountain, in tempting Yahushua, what did Yahushua do? Well, he used the scriptures to cut him, and of course to set things straight. So ultimately, we have an example of what we're supposed to be doing. It's ultimately using the word of the Lord to cut these evil spirits. So it says Luke chapter 12 and 30, or 31. It says, but rather seek ye the kingdom of the Most High, and all these things shall be added unto you. Yeah, so we're supposed to be seeking the kingdom of the Most High. It says, and all these things shall be added unto you. So first things that should be on our minds is the kingdom of heaven. Because, with that, obviously we're going to be seeking to do what's required to do of us, or of course what's required of us to do, and of course in order to make it. So it says verse 32, fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. So that you have and give alms, provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth corrupteth. Exactly, because this isn't our rest, man. This isn't a place where you should be storing up everything and, just treating this place as if we're going to be here for decades and decades. No, ultimately, again, the time is very, very short. As scriptures say, Yahweh Bashim Yashai is making of course the Lord is shortening the days for the elect's sake. So the importance is casting, of course, or storing our treasures in heaven than of course compared to earth. So it says, verse 34, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Yeah, and that's the point. So our treasure is in the kingdom of heaven. That's where we have our treasure at, not in this place. We're here having as if we have not, as the scripture's going to. So yeah, of course, we maintain, but we understand that this isn't the end all be all. It says, Luke chapter 12 and 36, it says, "And ye yourselves like unto men that wait for the Lord, when he will return from the wedding, that when he cometh and knocketh, they may open," or slack read through it. So this is Luke chapter 12 and 35. It says, "Let your loins be girded about, and your lights burning. And ye yourselves like unto men that wait for the Lord, when he will return from the wedding, that when he cometh and knocketh, they may open unto him immediately." Exactly. So what, constantly being in the spirit as if we're waiting for Yahweh Bashim Yashai to come back. What is that? Or, what is that, what's the word? Basically, what does that entail? Going into this constantly being, the scriptures say, what? Constantly being occupied, being busy doing the work. Because again, we have the mindset as if Yahweh Bashim Yashai can come back at any moment. So, it's important that we put on the mindset more and more daily. So it says, verse 37, "Blessed are those servants whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily I say unto you, that he shall gird himself and make them to sit down to meat, and he will come forth and serve them." It says, "And if he come in the second watch, or come in the third watch, and find them so, blessed are those servants." Exactly. So we want to be those guys who are immediately ready, to of course, open that door. Being fully prepared, not being slack. Again, being fully prepared. It says Luke chapter 12 and 39. "And this know, that if the good man of the house had known what hour the thief will come, he would have watched." It says, "And not suffered his house to be broken through." Yeah, so if we had the exact day and hour when, Lord will come back, then obviously you already know Jacob would procrastinate until the last second. So that's why Yahweh Bashim Yashai made it where it's completely unexpected. So it says Luke chapter 12 and 40, "Be ye therefore ready also, for the Son of Man cometh at an hour when ye think not." Read again. It says, "Be ye therefore ready also, for the Son of Man cometh at an hour when ye think not." Scriptures say how, even the Son, he doesn't know the day or the hour. So what's showing you the importance of doing what we have to do right now, of course, not having the knowledge exactly when Yahweh Bashim Yashai is going to come back. He can come back at any moment. That's why it's important for us to do the work, being in season and out of season. It says Luke chapter 12 and 41. "Then Peter said unto him, Lord, speakest thou this parable unto us, or even to all?" It says, "And the Lord said, Who then is that faithful and wise steward, whom his Lord shall make ruler over his household, to give them their portion of meat in due season?" Luke 12 and 43. "Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Of a truth I say unto you, that he will make him ruler over all that he hath." Yeah, so we want to be those, ultimately that's the household, Lord's household is the kingdom, is Yahushua's kingdom. Yahushua's coming back to establish his kingdom upon the planet Earth, taking down the other nations and setting up his people over all the nations. So what, we want to be those rulers over that household, because Lord's going to appoint rulers over the kingdom of heaven, going into the 144,000, of course. So what, we want to be a part of that number that has rulership over the household, again, over the kingdom of heaven. It says, verse 45, and if that servant say in his heart, My Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to beat the men servants and maidens, and to eat and to drink and to be drunken, the Lord of that servant will come in a day when he looketh not for him, and at an hour when he is not aware, and will cut him in asunder, and will appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. Yeah, so again, we don't want to be in that spirit either. Basically being in that spirit as those basically in the time of Noah, going into whether, of course, marrying and drinking, and and of course not considering what Noah was prophesying. We don't want to be, of course, we don't want to be in that spirit. It says, Luke 12:47, and that servant which knew his Lord's will, and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. It says, but he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more. Yeah, so ultimately those who were in the truth and, fell out and basically took their hand off the plow. But they're going to catch a worse judgment compared to those who weren't even in the truth in the first place. The scriptures say in Revelation chapter, 3:16, to get it real quick. Says Revelation 3:15, it says, I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou were cold or hot. Yeah, so to be in the truth, fully in truth, or not even being a part of it at all. It says, so then, because thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. Exactly. So ultimately, we're either in this thing, or you're not in it. There's no in between. So, for the Jakes who fell out, ultimately, they are lukewarm. Or, being in this thing of, but being half in, half out, having your mind half in Babylon, and your mind half in the truth. Again, you have to be fully in the truth in order to actually serve the Lord. So it says, Luke chapter 12 and 48, it says, but he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask no more. Exactly. So, as we increase within the truth, Yahweh Bashim Yashai increases over basically we're given tools to do the work. And as, of course, you grow within the truth, Yahweh Bashim Yashai upgrades your tools. And of course, with your tools being upgraded, obviously more work is needed to be done, to put, give a basic analogy. So it says Luke chapter 12 and 49. Well, let's see. I believe that's the point. We can finish it off. It says, I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I if it already be kindled? Yeah, so that's verse 49 of Luke chapter 12. It says verse 50, but I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how am I strained till it be accomplished? Suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth? I tell you, nay, but rather division. For from henceforth there should be 5 in one household, divided 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. The father should be divided against the son, and the son against the father, the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother, the daughter-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. He said also to the people, when ye see a cloud rise out of the west straightway, ye say, there cometh a shower, and so it is. Yeah, because scriptures say how there's going to be division. How there's going to be division. So, you might have family members who basically mock you or don't, or simply put, they mock you, and of course they don't believe on the truth. Well, ultimately that's prophesied. Yahushua said that will happen. It says Luke 12:55. It says, and when ye see the south wind blow, ye say, there will be heat, and it cometh to pass. It says, ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it that ye do not discern this time? Exactly. So we have the clear signs that we are at the end of the world, clearly. It says, yeah, and why even yourselves judge ye not what is right? So there you have it. And I believe we can leave it right there. So again, we have the signs that we are at the end. So how much more are we supposed to be doing this work and doing what Yahweh Bashim Yashai has commanded us to do? What? So that we're worthy, of course, to be, of course, to pass through these things, having the spirit and protection of Yahweh Bashim Yashai around us. Because again, it's going to be a lot of death. There's going to be a lot of destruction happening. So what we, of course, pray unto Yahweh Bashim Yashai that we're reserved, and we have a hedge around us throughout all of it. And ultimately, receiving salvation was, of course, Yahushua comes back to deliver his elect. Of course, receiving salvation from this wicked kingdom that will be destroyed, which is Babylon the Great. Of course, being America. So I believe it's a point. Lord, you blessed the edified. Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, Bashim Kakorash Prakatham. Shalom.